Still the tea, honey.
We've been drinking for 30 years.
Let me go to our final reactor because that was the most perfect segue. As an arts as a curator and an architect at the same time, which I have so much respect for, is the I will bring this to a little more a higher level of difficulty for you. Is the Filipino ready for this kind of ordinary delight?
Mr. Gerry Torres, please don't be drunk. Please don't be drunk. Please don't
I
be
won't.
drunk.
I won't. Okay. Let me start first by like you, Nana, going to the Pritzker. I've noticed that in the past, in my awareness, the past 5 or 6 years, that the award has been given to architects who are, as you are trying to say, veering less from the architects that we've had in the mode of David and Frank Gehry, and more towards, it's been a progression, I think, beginning in 2009, even as far back as that. And the other thing that I've noticed is that they've also awarded the architects to people from the global south.
Yeah.
So we've had, I think, an Indian who's won, and I think someone from Peru or is it Chile who's gotten the award.
That's
Ravenna.
Ravenna, yes.
Yeah.
He's a social mover too. He's good.
And I think
He
that
looks good.
It's sort of a direction that the Pritzker wants to get into. Personally, I feel warm about it because in the years that the Starchitects were up there in the sky, blazing away, I always think as an educator and how these Starchitects will affect our students who will be practicing in this country, most of them anyway, and start to shape our cities, if not, and our buildings. And the projects of the Starchitects, I don't think totally solves the problem of society in the country. Maybe parts of it, we do need razzmatazz in our architecture, for example, for airports, where we want to impress visitors. But we also need to look at, well, not necessarily the 99%, but maybe the 80% that also needs to be serviced by architects. So I sort of like where it's been going in the past years. I don't know if their selection for 2021 was affected by the pandemic. I would like to hope so. But the other caveat I'd like to point out is that when we look at architecture through photos, there is something there that, of course, is missing. Probably 70% of what architecture should be is absent in a photograph. And so when AJ asked me to look into the works of Anne and Jean-Pierre, I was always, whenever I look at architecture through photos, even through videos, I always know that there is some sort of absence of truth in that. But nonetheless, with what I've learned and read about the pair, I think they're quite revolutionary. The fact that they had a project and said, we're not going to do anything about it, we just fix the trees and the gravel, and then that's it, because it's perfect as it is like a total departure from being as architects. Because as architects, I think it is also an undeniable fact that most architects have large egos, larger than life egos, you know. If you look at Ayn Rand's novel, it's sort
I
of
love Ayn Rand, by the way. I love Ayn Rand. Howard Lark, yes.
And that also came about because of modernism. Although, when they analyze the work of this pair, they also say that they are sort of reacting with the tenets of modernism in their work, which goes back to form follows function. So the way that we look at their buildings from outside is anathema to what they're doing, because precisely what they're doing is to design it from the inside out, and not just from the form or the program, but from the people. I think it's remarkable that they were able to redesign that number 52 housing project without displacing the people inside. I'd like to know how they did that without displacing the people. Now, isn't that giving importance to people?
Very plastic.
Sorry?
Plastic.
Plastic. I'd like to go into plastic also. The other thing that I think they're very particular about is not just their kindness to humanity, but also kindness to the environment, to the earth, to the type of materials that they're using. We have to admit that architecture and the construction industry is the most wasteful, if not one of the most wasteful industries in the world. So the big question now with this the pandemic and the questions of what are we going to do with the environment and the effects on climate and the effects on our lives, how will we as architects respond to that? I think the other radical move that they did was reusing abandoned buildings or old buildings. As architects, we're always saying, I don't want an old building. I want
Mr.
my
Gerry
building.
Torres is
Tear
not
it down
drunk.
because I want my own building. This is me. It reminds me of the abandoned buildings that I see here in Makati, in Quezon City, buildings that have run out of money. And if someone, and I've always been thinking, what can we do with these buildings? Number one, they're eyesores. They're just rotting away. They're such a waste of materials. And if you tear them down, that again will cost money and again material. That's all going to landfill. So I think that's a radical idea to reuse old buildings. And I've been thinking about that and what can be done about it. So I think the poetry of what they're doing, in the radicalism of what they're doing, is a reflection of what the world is going through now. This veering towards the left of center, so to speak, the politics of the left, which is not necessarily being about communism or social. It's just recognizing that people. The marginalized. When we say the marginalized, we're actually talking of the majority of the people of the world, because those who have been heard for the past 100 years are probably only in the 10 or 15% of the world. It's only now that the internet that has democratized the space, and I see that also as a welcome development. And in the pandemic, that has become more and more clear that the internet has become a democratizing influence to how we're going to live. So the way that this the selection of the Pritzker in the past 10 years, for example, I am seeing that this will eventually go down to our schools, to all our schools, to the teachers, because the students who are now going to know about these architects will, of course, be inspired or absorb their teachings. And I think that's the kind of architecture that we need more of in the country. I think
Gerry,
that
Anne Lacaton said a quote that echoes everything you just said. Okay? She said, we never see the existing as a problem. We look with positive eyes because there is an opportunity of doing more with what we already have.
Yes.
Amazing.
It reminds me of the 3 R's: reuse, recycle, reduce, but in architecture. And I've been talking also about plastic waste, and if we can reuse plastic and put it into our buildings and then reuse the waste, I think that the next great Filipino architect, the next national artist for architecture, should be somebody who has thought about housing, how will we house the majority of the Filipinos and not necessarily turn them into mini subdivisions that eat up land or put them up into huge, featureless, meaningless, soulless buildings with little spaces that now
By
with
the way,
pandemic,
speaking of housing, I hate relocations. By the way, I'm not Nana. I just
yeah, but what is it? The housing is under the hands of the
fails.
government, and none of us want to work in government. So the architects who are studying in our schools are not the ones shaping the cities or dictating how the rest of us will be housed. Or you get somebody like Villar who has the solution that is, of course, not always following the principles of
Relocation sucks.
and
Relocation sucks.
so really, I think I told AJ, when you told me about this architects, you got me at they're educators. I love it about them.
Yeah, they are.
You got me at Nigeria. The fact that they train in one of the poorest countries, I think that sort of grounds them.
Yes.
Whether they're French or whether they're from first world countries, the fact that there's that she said that it's her second school.
Yes, exactly. It's second education for them
Yeah.
living poorest African
Yeah, so-
city. It's like the second education. Yes.
So I sort of I believe in that and the housing. The fact that they were focusing on housing. I think that because in the Pritzker, when you submit your portfolio, you have to submit a particular building. That's and I believe it's the number 52 that they submitted. So it's really housing.
Bordeaux Grand Park.
You know, fun fact, their first building together, like Lacaton and Vassal, it's in Niger. It's
A
a
hut.
house built
pigs.
with straw. Oh my God,
Yeah.
like straw. It's like even lower than the Filipino nipa hut. That says
Yes.
a lot. That says a
But
lot.
nonetheless, I'm not saying that the architects are wrong because I think there will always be architects, and we can be side by side. I just think that when we, I guess, teach the next generation of architects, we should be
Exactly.
conscious also. And
Exactly.
I think in Benilde we're starting to do that. Not tell them to think about housing, and really it's how time evolves. No, after a while, the architecture of the architects will change, and it is beginning to change. Who
That's
knows where it's
true.
going to bring
That's
us?
true.
But I believe that in the context, if we're talking about context, in the context of the Philippines, we need more of this thoughtful
Like,
architect.
Mr. Tor, wait, Bach is gone. Where's Bach?
They should
Wait,
reconnect.
Yeah, maybe they're.
Yeah. But Jerry, I have a question.
Yeah, so I don't know if I answered your question.
No. Wait. 5 seconds, Mr. Jerry. Like I'm saying Mr. because I'm so drunk. I still want to be respectful. But you know what? Like this is so good because you know what? Lacaton and Jean-Philippe Vassal won a Pritzker for like being very grounded and very humble and giving back to humanity. And it's never an excuse for Filipinos, even for Davao.
Yeah, well,
Davaoenos to say that, like, I am a mover for excellent design, but it doesn't mean that it has to always be architect level in terms of visual, or it doesn't have to be parametric. It just have to be able to change the quality of life, to improve the quality of life.
yeah, I think it's very valid, Nana, what you mentioned about the question of has it improved the lives?
Exactly.
Has it made their lives more meaningful? We now go back to post-occupancy evaluation, which I think is now disappearing. Will architects be brave enough to have their buildings assessed by the inhabitants or by the users of the building, and
Exactly.
learn from that? So we can, because we can't just say, has it been meaningful to them? Then maybe the answer could be done scientifically.
Yeah, it needs to be measurable.
And measurable.
Yes, exactly. You know what, Mr. I'm
Because
calling you
nobody
Mr.
wants to
Jerry
pay-
so that
no one
I'll
wants
be
to
more
pay for that.
respectful. But I
So it's okay, Nana.
yeah,
Call
I
me
mean,
Jerry.
I have a huge ass summer hat. But you know what? I've just recently encountered an architect,
Anna,
giving this.
I will
This is a
interrupt
fun
you with
fact.
that. Are you sure
Giving this.
you're not going to regret your decision to wear a hat when I post this on
Yes,
YouTube?
I'm not. I still look pretty. That's that's what all that matters.
What
Okay,
happened
so
to
wait,
Buck
listen
and,
to this.
Mike?
Listen to this.
But-
If you review the UAP bylaws in terms
Yes.
of the services rendered by an architect, I just recently encountered an architect here in Davao. They're good. Their office is good. They just have this like a parang portion of their design services that says post occupancy
Yeah.
evaluation as like an added value of their design. But you know what? Yeah, people are so not well read
Because
according to RA 9266, post occupancy is like
Jerry, go ahead. What did you want to
the
say?
basis.
because I think the one who should pay for that is the architect, because the result of that evaluation will be useful to the architect than the client.
Actually,
What do you want to say?
No, Joey. I'm sorry. Jerry in
Yes,
Europe.
Buck.
In Europe, no, I called him. In Europe, before you even build, you're able to talk to the client and agree with them. And since they are your clients, there is this great possibility for them to be as parang idealistic as you are, and they would like to write it all down.
Sure, question. Would you pay for a post-occupancy
They will.
evaluation? No, would you? Would you pay for
Yeah.
that service?
Yeah, actually, I can include it in the whole contract, kasi the whole idea is that we at the pandemic we are at that possibility of being able to create new knowledge.
Yeah, but what if the client refuses? Will you pay for it yourself?
We'll pay for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You-
Will you, AJ?
Yeah, I actually we do. It's already built into the salary plantilla that we evaluate our projects not independently though, but
No,
we
it
do.
should be an independent body going in and then doing
Yes.
an
Alam
evaluation.
mo, Jerry, the one that I told you about this is parang the client, from building from the top down, they agreed because they
Yeah,
want
yeah. Good.
knowledge. Hi,
Good
kid.
for you.
So they agreed. I think it's for us to try.
No, if we really want to know if our designs give meaning to
Yes,
our
actually.
clients, of course, for us, the best validation for that is if we're given a second project or a third project with the same client, then that's the validation. But aside from that,
some
we really
reason-
have to be scientific in how we're going to assess.
Yeah,
that.
hey. But it's so superficial because UAP bylaws and RA 9266 states that post occupancy is part of an architect's duty and liabilities. Come on, people! I'm so drunk. I have an
It
excuse.
should
that
be
I'm
an
28
independent.
years
It should
old.
be an
I'm a
independent,
millennial.
third party.
No,
Yeah,
I'm
it should
the
be a third party.
UAP. I will, if you suggest something, we can try to.
The UAP is another topic, and I'm a little.
That's another round table.
Let's not talk about UAP, please. Let's not talk about UAP.
We're coming back.
I've been meaning to ask you as a curator, given what you said, and I really like what you said about the works of the pair. But what happens now to architecture as an artistic object?
Well,
Yeah.
I think the question is who's gonna say whether that is beautiful or this is art or this isn't art.
Exactly.
The old sayings goes, beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Okay. Wait.
Who's gonna have
Choy,
say that?
sorry,
The
I have
reason why
2
there's,
seconds for this. 2 seconds. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The
No.
topmost on the pyramid is like self-actualization. It's either you crush your own ego or you go with your ego. It doesn't matter. It's up to you.
Yeah, and through the centuries, the reason why a lot of philosophers, starting from the Greeks down to the Renaissance and to the Age of Enlightenment, have tried to
Mr.
define
Jerry,
beauty
you're not
and
drinking
aesthetics.
anymore.
Because really they try to put a
drink.
system into what is beautiful or not. But in our case, we can't. I don't think I'd like to say this is beautiful and this is not, and expect the rest of the world to agree with me in the same way that I have a big question about us saying that my building is going to educate the rest of the community about what a beautiful building should be, because I'm an educator, but I will stop at saying that my building will educate the rest of the community or the passersby. I am an educator. If you enroll in the school, then I can teach you. But for me to say that the building is there to teach, or to teach something that I believe in, might not necessarily hold water.
Mike went inside the building. The to quote unquote Mike said this, I didn't say it. Ugly building, but he was converted.
Ugly. I'm sorry.
It's not ugly.
I didn't
It's
say
not ugly.
ugly.
No,
From a hate to a yay.
No,
He
it's
was
not ugly.
converted.
Well,
Okay, it's more than wait. It's more than this.
There's no ugly
Beauty
building.
is eye in the beholder. Let me quote. People, let me quote. He said that the building, the design of the building allowed the person to like experience it more and to question, oh, what can I do more about this building?
Maybe we should talk to the inhabitants of the building, the ones who live there for a longer
Context is
period.
everything.
Then, yeah. But Mike, I like what you said about the commodification of space, because that really has been happening. And if space has been given so much value, especially in the cities, in our cities, and our cities are turning into copycats of Manila, sad to say, the commodification of spaces will just continue. And if spaces are given so much
Davao
value,
people watching this, do not be a copycat of Manila.
Let us let Jerry finish first. Sorry.
yeah, and if we are going to commodify space and continue to do so, then of course, by the law of supply and demand, the spaces are going to become smaller and smaller and smaller, because we just want to sell more of them. But what is that going to happen now with the pandemic, when we're realizing that we can't live anymore in small air-conditioned boxes, because they're going to be very dangerous for our health, if not, resulting in our death. So how is
Mr. Gerry Torres, can I ask you something? Would you design for a very low fee, or to nada, zero fee at all? Would you design a building that will change the lives of the users and the occupants, like even without a fee? I mean, just saying what you're pointing at.
Before Jerry answers that, let me entertain Choi's. Choice, you wanted to say something?
Hi, Choy.
Yeah, hi. No, I just like to say we still have to play by the rules. The way for us to be
the rules, Choy.
Wait here. We have to, of course, make our own experiments, and then make sure that it is by a conference or by a journal that we will be peer reviewed, so that we will come up with knowledge that is peer reviewed. Okay? So, for example, we have findings. And
Are you saying be accountable? Are you saying be accountable?
Look. All 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people in this conversation make a lot of sense. But if we do not go through the usual process, of putting it forward in a conference where, like right now, for some reason, the UP has revived its akare. It's their way of, it's like a symposium where it will be peer reviewed, and then whatever comes out in that conference will be recognized as new knowledge.
Well, I think, Choie, what AJ is doing now and putting up this online fora and eventually turning it into public is, I think, a great step.
Well,
in the
people
right
are
direction.
so drunk.
It's not in the usual,
Yeah.
pero it is a way. So we will have to make sure that the podcasts ganon, because this is new.
Yes.
What are you saying, Gerry?
It's new platform. So sige, we will I promise.
Yes, well, as I said, the internet has changed a lot of things, including the format of knowledge and what knowledge should be, or even education.
Wait,
and what
1
age is
second.
doing now,
Everybody,
this platform.
Wait, sorry.
Please, nobody's drinking anymore. Just Nana.
Yes, thank you. We were drinking. I'll just let Gerry finish what he's saying. Gerry.
Yeah, as I said, the internet, I think two things in the past 20 years and then the past 2 years have been seismic in its effect. That is the internet, and with the pandemic, even the spaces now that we're inhabiting are changing. We're talking to each other now in our offices, but we're actually in our homes. So that's also been
the policy has to be created. And I promise you, we're going to make that policy. Kasi alam mo, there has to be a merging also of generations. It has to be intergenerational eh. We'll try to do that. And we have the possibility. Pero ganito muna. Kasi whatever knowledge there is right now in this exchange, it has to be peer reviewed eh. And I promise you, we will do our part. Pero yun nga, it's good enough that we're able to put it on the table so that we can discuss it. Pero
I'm actually very happy that we are able to meet together in this kind of platform, like what Gerry is saying. I did not expect that our discussion would be turning into this something engaging and to at some points.
AJ, you are a genius. Can we have a 2-minute bathroom break?
He already knows that.
2-minute bathroom break.
We will have a second commercial.
A 28-year-old millennial girl is asking for it.
Yes, please go to your bathroom break. When we come back, we will go to the extro, the synthesis of Choie and Bach being the interviewees, and we will conclude the fireside roundtable discussion. Go.
By the way, Davao Design Davao Society will have its first monthly event talk tomorrow, and I will be the moderator, and I cannot have a hangover.
Make sure you drink.
Oh my God, AJ, if I have a hangover tomorrow, it's all your fault. I will be the moderator for
go to your toilet before you make a mess.
First, hydrate now. Hydrate.
Ayan, AJ. Fireside ka kasi
I
dyan.
don't usually get drunk, but I haven't had a drink for like 2 years. This is all your fault, Javier. This is all your fault.
You know what, Nana? You've stolen the show completely from all of us.
The original intro that AJ
It's your
has.
hat. It's the hat that did it.
The awesomest girl in the entire Milky Way galaxy. I'm not used to being drunk.
Wait, seriously, are you going on a bathroom break or we're
Yes, 2 minutes.
Go.
Break.
I will exit. I will extra already. Go ahead. Go na.
Break first.
We'll wait for you.
We're done. I did my break.
AJ, good job.
AJ, pinainom mo pala, 2 taon na pala hindi umiinom. Ikaw talaga. Far side ka pa dyan. Ayan. Bahala ka mag-edit niyan. Tingnan natin ang editing skills mo.
Ano? Oh my God.
Good luck sa edit.
Kailangan natin kung may edit mo to.
That's a loose cannon, I'm telling you.
Cheers, cheers, cheers,
guys.
Cheers. Cheers, guys. You know what? I think this is really good, AJ, what you're doing, because we really should encourage architects to talk more. No,
Yes,
not just among each other, but you guys I know have been talking in
Start from the school. So you
Huh?
to start from students.
No, but as professionals, you guys have been,
Talk as
I know
architects.
you've been talking, so I think you should continue doing so and letting others also.
We're not
Thank you. Yeah, good job,
talk as
JJ.
architects if we don't talk as students. I'm telling you.
Mhm.
Okay?
What?
We're not going to talk as architects if we're not going to talk as students.
Yeah, but what do you think? It's good that we are not on live, no? We're not on live.
Yeah,
Muna.
Tama
Not
to,
yet,
tama
not
to.
yet.
You need to edit a few of the
Yeah.
stuff.
It's better that we're not on live.
And I think you should rethink your alcohol element. Not everybody can hold their alcohol.
Ito pa.
You know.
Isa pa.
So, alam mo na mga millennial, kulang sa training yan.
I wonder if he's ever going to come back on screen.
AJ, alam mo isa pa?
Baka na ano na yan, hindi na makabalik yan sa ano, ha?
You're too involved in the topic. For a moment, I felt alone.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, but it's okay.
No, but you know what? If I'd like to add, in the last Biennale with Sudar and Alex, what they designed was really very, very rudimentary, you know, when you look at it.
I would agree. I mean,
But that wasn't the point. The point really was that we work with the community, and this is
Yes.
what they're gonna use it. So I think that was what we were trying to say.
They are so
And the one that was given by Thailand, that the Thai pavilion, is actually a house for men and elephants.
Elephants, yes.
Paano parang
Jerry,
they're really radical, and it doesn't look like anything at all.
Jerry, you know what?
I've not seen the Thai pavilion.
That he built that from Thailand. He didn't want to go to Venice.
The Thai pavilion.
Yeah, kasi
Yeah.
he loves the Filipinos. He came here, he talked to us, and they said, so I'm not going to Venice. So I'm going to make use of the.
You're talking of Alex? Are you talking of Alex?
No, Thailand.
The Thai architect who is in the Biennale now.
Chuta kasi, it's very close to us, and I met him through Bach, and
So
I
he-
invited him.
So
Pero
this-
You designed the pavilion pala? I didn't know.
It's a pavilion for men and elephants together. Because there's a community in Thailand wherein the elephants and people live together. So it's a house. It's got an amazing concept, and it's gotten a lot of press.
you know how
Because
amazing he is.
You know,
He is one who he
and
loves.
that's really sensitivity to the earth. I would like to think so.
Wait.
Created into architecture.
Oo, talaga. I will invite you one time, ha?
Let me put order in. Sorry, Choy. Let us conclude the fireside table so we can continue to discuss other things. Yeah, but I'm enjoying this. So, wait, Nana is on mute. Nana, wait. You're on. I will unmute you, but you need to
Calm down.
Behave. She has to behave. Okay.
The beauty of Whiskey In Rye.
Nance, you have to press your unmute because you are voiceless.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
We're-
behaved.
Quiet,
I promise.
quiet.
Okay, we're proceeding to the extro. So I would give 60 seconds for extro to Choy and Buck separately, just to synthesize or to reaffirm or deaffirm or unaffirm their positions. And like I said in the intro, I will make a separate conclusion, which all of us will see. Well, I mean, all of you will see during the premiere of this posting. So, Choy, you have the floor. You have 1 minute, please.
Okay. Good evening. To my mind, architecture has a lot of richness out there. The important thing is for us to be able to decipher what is relevant and what is responsive. So, to my mind, I think that architects should be able to respond to the current need, for us to be relevant and for us to be responsive. And that having said, I think we give architecture more meaning for our lives, and I think it's the best. I think one of the best professions out there, because it's able to make sense with the world around us.
So it's a yay to the yay.
Yay, that's the yay. And I think Lacaton and Vassal is a great, responsive, and relevant architecture, because they are what they are. All this time, the amazing authenticity there. Thank you.
Wow, 60 minutes for your
60 minutes? Are you sure? You want 60 minutes?
synthesis.
First and foremost, this is the Pareto principle. So it is basically 80-20. We basically finished 80%. It's still a yay for me. Respect is crucial. I have personal biases. I have my beliefs. But at the end of the day, I'm slurring. At the end of the day, it's very crucial that there's a dialogue based on respect. Not everything that people will say in our profession, you will always agree. But make sure that is it the benefit of society? The benefit of society, benefit of society is most crucial, and the advancement of society, where the tool is architecture. Benefit of architecture is not what we're looking for. It's the benefit of society. That's all, AJ. Thank you.
Thank you, Lance, Mike, and Gerry. Thank you for agreeing to be our reactors.
Thank you
Yes.
too.
It
Yes,
was
in a very short notice, I will say this remark in a very
no, but that was
fast way. Number one, again, a disclaimer. I'm wearing a huge ass hat, and I've never drunk any alcohol for 2 fucking years. You can remove that. I'm giving you a hard time, AJ, to remove all the cuss word. Fuck. Yes. Okay, number one, I have the perfect excuse. I'm a 20-year-old millennial. So to all millennials out there, yay! Yes, we can do this. Yes, millennials, you can do this. Number two, hi Mike and hi Gerry. I met you for the first time, and you too, Choie. Like, I'm so in love with you. You're my Bang's soul sister. Yes, I am so drunk.
I have invisible bands, by the way.
I also have
Yes,
some.
you too, Mikey. I love the invisible bangs. I can see it. Yes. Okay. So again, people, serious. Yeah, it all goes back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It all boils down to context. Context is always crucial. Okay.
Context is
on that note.
Context is everything.
Nana, let me extra. On that note, this has been AJ, the principal of JDSM, from Manila, from Cebu, and from Davao. This is In Rye. Thank you and good evening.
Yes, and I always
Bye-bye.
have a disclaimer.
I can't wait for the edit.
Tape is over. Okay na.
Pero,
Seriously, AJ,
pero
are you
seriously,
able to do
AJ,
this for frame? Kaya mo pang gawin na?
Good evening. On the theme of the 2021 Venice Biennale, How Will We Live Together? Anne Lacaton responds, can we imagine to live together if we are not well individually? Indeed, world architecture and design has made a hard turn on its priorities. This pandemic has not anything to do with it even. It it may have made it more obvious, harder to ignore, so due attention we shall give it then. In the context of the everyday Filipino, the context of the everyday typical Pinoy architect, who, I'm certain, is not aware of the existence of the Pritzker, much less that Lacaton and Vassal are living human beings carving out world design with their quiet, invisible, but forceful philosophy. Depending on where one is standing, it is disturbing or a relief to know that kind architecture will soon influence the image of the Philippine city. And given our tendency to copy, and copy blindly, how the maximalist Pinoy designer will handle such a fragile and intricate method of design, absent of elaborate expression, makes my heart race in a very unsettling way. I would rather we copy Zaha Hadid. A poor Filipino copy of her works makes for a more tolerable city than a clumsy replica of a Lacaton and Vassal painfully staring back at you from across the street. Such is the thing of the works of real geniuses. When copied, it yields architectural disasters. While Lacaton and Vassal's architecture is hard to pull off, even with the kindest of intentions, it is the architecture our cities need. Just look around how no less than the state has mangled public design. Our reality is, the Filipino pedestrian needs to be an agile Olympian gymnast to negotiate our streets. In how our cities are crafted, the human being and how we live together are not important. Jean-Philippe Vassal declared as to what is of highest import of consideration in the design process. There is only one dimension, and it is the dimension of reality. This is AJ Javier of JDSM. This has been with Whiskey in Rye. Stay safe and stay well. We are strong.